It's your boy, Pastor Ramon, aka Pastor Ray, and I am so happy to be with you guys. Welcome to the Well Encounter Live. If you are on with us, why don't you go ahead and say hello, leave a comment, let us know that you're watching. We love to know that you're with us on this beautiful Thursday evening of the 11th of May. Listen, we just love that you're here and it's ready. We're ready to start off a whole new series in the month of May. What is the month of May? The month of May is a summer. We're starting our summer relationships and love series. Listen, this is going to be an amazing month of conversation. Summer of relationships, summer relationships and love. Man, I'm telling you, we have a lot to talk about in this month. So again, if you're on with us, go ahead and let us know you're here. Also, feel free to share this on your page, like this post if you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, copy the link, send it off to all your folks. Let them know, hey, the well is on, and you should be a part of the well. Listen, we know that you know what our motto is here, but in case you're new to the well life, we want to share that our motto is encounter the well, become the well, emerge and share the well. Synonymous with things like encounter Jesus, become more like Jesus, emerge and share Jesus, encounter love, become love, emerge and share love, encounter the light, become the light, emerge and share the light. Whatever positive words you need to put there, go ahead and do that. But encounter, become, emerge, and share is our motto. And listen, so if you encounter, become, and emerge, and share, then we also have the path that we believe that leads you down. And that path is what we call the path to the 5 P's. What are those P's? I'm glad you asked. As you see on your screen, that path is a path to passion, purpose, promise, peace, power. You should find your passion, find your purpose, find God's promise, find God's peace, and ultimately, that always should lead you to find your power, your strength, right? All right. And so, listen, we have a great panel with us this evening that's going to have a great conversation. Look forward to our artist of the month. We'll be sharing more about that person in just a little while this month as well. Shout out to our director of arts, nerd, poet. But without further ado, listen, we're not even going to prolong this introduction. We have a beautiful group. And so producer Brennan B, why don't you go ahead and bring in our panelists? Beautiful people, beautiful people, beautiful people.
Hello.
Good evening. Hi.
What's going on? What's going on, Pastor Tay?
What's up?
Hey man, listen. I'm gonna let you go ahead and start this thing off, man. Say something to the people.
Pastor Tay here, and this is my better half, my beautiful, sexy, punctual, chocolate wife, Kanitha Fleming. We've been married for a year and some change.
Woo!
He's the love of my life. Show him the ring. Yeah. Look what I got. See the difference? Ain't no blinging going on
He's
here.
not wearing his ring because he'll lose it.
Oh. This is my baby.
Oh.
Listen, Kanitha, is there anything you want to share with the people before we start?
I'm just excited and ready to dive in and give my perspective on motherhood and everything like that. So I appreciate you guys having me on, and it's a blessing. So welcome and thank you everybody for allowing me to be on tonight.
Listen, and it's going to be amazing because Kanitha, you have such an amazing story, and I cannot wait to talk to you. You are usually on the other side, pumping us up, giving some comments, but tonight you're on, and what a deep story, man, that you guys have. I can't wait to talk about it. But I want to also introduce these amazing ladies up here in the corner that are just super fantastic. As you can see, Pastor K and Lady T are the names that they have. But I want to just give a couple of moments and just let you guys introduce yourselves, where you're from, the church you represent, all that good stuff. Just share a few things with the folks.
Hello, good evening. Thank you to the well. Thank you, Pastor Ray, for having us. I am Pastor K. I'm Kristen Simpson, and I'm the senior pastor of Messengers for Christ Ministries. We're based out of Fort Washington, Maryland. We're pastors, leaders, entrepreneurs, mothers, and wives, and we are also fairly newlyweds. We've been married 4 years, some change as well. We'll save the ring for later. We ain't gonna have no competition tonight. But this is my beautiful wife, my queen, T, Tarina, and I'll allow her to introduce herself as well.
You got about 10 more adjectives to give me before I
do.
speak.
That's right.
I mean, run me my chocolate and my.
He went first, you know. I didn't want to become competitive.
It's this well earned.
Well at the well, as you can
it's
see.
Well at the well. No, gratefully, I get that daily. So I'm truly grateful for the admiration that's exchanged here in our union. So I'm Lady T. I am new in the world of the first ladies. Yeah, this was fairly new to me. However, I love it here. I believe that I exemplified the character of a woman in this position for years before I even made it here. And so I just thank God for the experience and the preparation to landing me in this place. I didn't see it coming. Fairly newly divorced. I was in a marriage with a male for 7 years, and just a survivor of domestic violence. I just thank God that he saw me through it. Hallelujah. And so I'm here with my amazing wife who took on my entire package, one that we will share here tonight. So I'm just super excited to be here. Thank you so much, Pastor Ray, the Flemings, Brennan, your amazing marketing guy, just for having us here tonight. So we're looking forward to sharing our story with you guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, I love that. You guys are listen, y'all on fire already. Listen, yeah, this evening we have such a amazing conversation. And of course, as you guys always see me kind of over on the side because I'm doing stuff to make sure that we have posted everywhere with, I'm sharing it with all the folks I need to share it with. But tonight we're talking about mothers, and we name our stuff a little controversial sometimes because we like to get people's attention. And so I was like, how do we, oftentimes the conversation behind the scenes is like, how do we make sure we get people's attention and we get them to tune in and give them just a slight bit of what we're going to talk about. And so we named it Momma's Fertility for a couple of different reasons. We didn't want to just say, hey, it's Mother's Day coming up, so we want to talk about mothers, right? And I know that there are people who struggle even with fertility. And so we wanted to talk about that. We wanted to talk about the acceptance of being a mother, those who are in a mother's role, who have come into a mother's role because of marriage, right? It's so many ways to look at this thing called motherhood. And so I guess as we kind of delve into this conversation, y'all, tonight, I'm telling you, might as well go ahead and share this on your pages, share this with your folks, because it's going to be a really, really deep conversation and at the same time fun. Can you imagine deep and fun? That's like Jesus. Pastor Tay,
I ain't got nothing to say on it. I'm gonna let that go.
This is a Christian show, okay?
You said it deep and fun. We deep in it.
And so I want to take our first conversation here. Mother's Day is fastly approaching, and as we're arriving at the holiday, I like to just ask all of us, what does Mother's Day mean to you? What does the holiday Mother's Day mean to you?
Oh, want to start here?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I have a very interesting response.
Okay.
Prior to yesterday, Mother's Day was something that you look forward to. It's like that day that's set aside for mothers to be reverenced, honored, celebrated. But as I've taken on the journey with grieving mothers, and I've had to encourage them over the course of the last couple of days, the Holy Spirit gave me a different revelation for Mother's Day. Because it's something that's anticipated And it's like the pain gets greater the closer it gets to the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he gave me is if we would acknowledge it as any other day and not put so much stock in the day, it will take away the anxieties. And so some people are disappointed on Mother's Day. Some people don't have a mother. Some people have lost their child, especially within the last year and months, and they are developing a mass depression as it gets closer. And so when the Holy Spirit gave me that, I was so inspired because every day is Mother's Day, and that's how He gave it to me. If we would recognize it as something that we celebrate every day, we ought to be celebrated every day. It will remove some of the anxieties. And so what I usually put a lot of stock into, I retracted from that as of yesterday. And though I'm excited about the holiday existing, I don't have to anticipate something different happening for me to make the day mean something. So every day I'm a mother, every day I wake up. So that same strength that I have on Saturday that allowed me to make it through my pain is the same strength that I should display on Sunday that will give me the same perseverance to master the day. So we don't have to look forward to disappointment. Take it as you did Saturday, Friday, and you will have it again on Monday. I don't know if that was too many things, but
No.
Mm-hmm.
that's what he
Keep it
gave
real,
me.
keep it
I don't,
honest. That was a young lady. It's so interesting you said that because one of the churches that I pastor, it was a diverse church, and one of the ladies. So when we approached Mother's Day, um, one of the first years I was there, I said, "Hey, are we going to celebrate moms?" And something I had never thought about, because it just has traditionally been done. And she said to me, "Hey, um, I don't know that we are because there are some people who um, don't who struggle with being a mom, who aren't fertile, or can't have or have had abusive relationships." And so that was a conversation that we had to sort of deep dive into when it
yeah.
came to recognition of the day. So thank you thank you for sharing that. I think it's important to recognize that. Kenitha, Tayron, what are your thoughts about Mother's Day?
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, like, that was beautifully said. Like you say, there's other aspects of motherhood. And, for me, I am grateful and blessed, that my mother is still in my life. But I do know, like for my husband, he's lost two women in his life. I was just thinking that we have Sunday dinners. And I said, like you said, let's just, like we do, it's the best time to be with family. People shouldn't be alone because, like you said, they're sad. There's some women who can't be mothers. So I said, well, you know what? It's Sunday. What we always do on Sunday, we have family dinner. I said, I'm going to bring some crabs over. So like you say, you have to always think about other people. It's not just always about you and what's going on. So I'm just trying to just bring us all together and just have a good time, be thankful for the ones that are going to become mothers. I also think about myself and how it's been hard to become a mom. And so, like you said, it is hard sometimes to celebrate it. Like you said, every day should be Mother's Day. And so I was like, Mom, what do you want to do? She's like, well, all the good restaurants. And so it's just only day. So I'm going to take her out to breakfast, and celebrate her because for a long time, I couldn't spend time with her. So you say, take each day as a time. And now that she's here in my life, I am going to be with her. But every day I tell her I love her. Like you say, every single day she's there. She's my mother. So every day we should just celebrate each other. And like you say, keep being those moments to stay happy because when it's hard, it kind of keeps you up, surround yourself with family. So
Absolutely. I love it.
And as I've gotten older and circumstances changing my life, I realized, man, I was mothered and fathered by committee. When they say it take a village, I've had a lot of mothers, two of which, my grandmother and my biological mother passed within a year. So this Mother's Day is going to be hard for me. This probably be my first Mother's Day without them. But, I just think about the mothers I do have and the strong women who are still around and supporting me. But it's going to be a hard time for me, to be honest.
That's interesting too. I mean, there are those who, and just real quick shout out to I saw that Sean Michael Wilson hopped on. Hey, Sean. Juwan is on with us. Our Wellians is on with us. So, hey, Juwan, and all the other folks who are watching. And Reverend Love, I saw you on as well. Hey, brother, big brother. That's an aspect that we don't often consider too, right? Because a lot of us are so happy to celebrate our moms. But a lot of times, especially for those who might have lost their mothers just in the last year, I think about COVID took a lot of folks. So people's mothers, their grandmothers, their aunts passed possibly. And, so for some folks, it's a day of grieving,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. Yeah. So where some people might be celebrating, for others, it can be a very sad day to sort of think about folks who are no longer here with us as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you all have some interesting stories about motherhood, and I'm so grateful. Let me say this first, y'all, before we get into this conversation. I want y'all to know these folks coming on with us are willing to be vulnerable with us, and so I just respect that so much. I think people too often, I don't want to say that. A lot of times you got to think about how much are you willing to share of your own story with people. And though I think there's power in it, that does take a lot of courage sometimes. And so I just commend all of you all for coming on and being willing to share your unique stories about motherhood. But all of you all's journey to motherhood, or sharing your motherhood, right, is very unique in its own way. Especially over the last year or so, last 2 years or so, right, for each of you all. And so, yeah, I guess I just want to let's let people know what makes your story so unique. And I know I don't know. I don't even want to start because I know. Pastor K and Lady T, y'all kind of started a few minutes ago, but I know, Kanitha, you have a lot to share as well. I'm just gonna let y'all go ahead. Whoever wants to hop in and share your story, go ahead and share it, and then we'll have more conversation about it after you share it.
I just have a quick insert in the first question, if I may, as we
I'm
transition.
sorry.
It's all good. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think I had anything to say anyway, but I do. So my input with that and listening to everybody. So originally and still, my takeaway from what Mother's Day means to me is, like Lady T said, if we treat it like we do any other day, the Bible tells us to honor thy mother and father. So if we do that every day, Mother's Day, as we know it, the man-made holiday wouldn't be any different. We're still honoring them on that particular day. Of course, mothers now, because it's been so common to celebrate it, Mama gonna be looking for something special if she's still here, Auntie, Godmama, or whoever.
I am.
Yeah, I know. But I've developed an okayness because I know she's expecting something, so I'm with her on it however she chooses. But I would say gauge the season, gauge the day. I heard what the Flemings were saying, and I just want to add, by way of experience to an extent, not to project grief in the future. Sometimes we're so used to doing that. So I just lost my father. I know we're getting ready for Mother's Day. Father's Day is right behind it. My father just passed in March. And so my birthday came right after that in April. And everybody kept saying, I know you're going to have a rough birthday because this is your first one without your dad. And I was thinking the same thing, because that's what we hear. Faith come by hearing. No matter how you choose to believe, we hear something, we start to believe it. And so I believed it. But my birthday came a month later, and I had one of the best days of my life. I was not sad as I expected I would be. I was maybe sad the day before, but when that day came, I felt a sense of relief. My dad wasn't suffering, even though he's not here with me for the first time. God has a way of overriding our thoughts, our emotions, and all of that. So I just wanted to encourage our brother here tonight to just, let how you feel be how you feel. That day may come and you find so much joy and excitement in celebrating his mother's life, and the grandmother and everything like that. So sometimes we project certain things for our future, but I do believe that there's power in the tongue, and so we just speak life and just let God be God. You never know how you'll feel when the day comes. So however, see, I told you, Brendan, I'll be talking eventually. But that's just my encouragement by way of experience. We never know how our emotions will ride, but God has us no matter how we feel. So that's my take on that.
Absolutely. Listen, I was going to, and Brendan is so crazy because I was going to read your comment anyway. So I'm glad you put it up. No, she is preaching. She is preaching. If y'all can see, Brendan is with us. He's definitely with us. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That was good. That's good stuff. Pastor K, that was really good stuff. We needed to hear that. And thank you for sharing that. Hopefully somebody who's watching, and especially even though, we have people that are watching now, but there are people who watch us on the repeat as well. And I always say, if you're watching on the repeat, hey, continue to make sure you comment, let us know you're watching, because I think I saw Pastor Kim was watching one day, and I just saw she was typing the whole time, and I was like, yo, what is going on? I kept getting these alerts, and she was watching. So if you're watching this a week from now, a month from now, don't hesitate to comment and let us know. All of us will see that you're commenting, Pastor K, Lady T, the Flemings, all of us, and so that's always encouraging to know that what's said has touched somebody's life.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm going to switch gears again. So then, since Pastor K just spoke, Kenitha, let's go to you. Let's talk about what makes your road to motherhood, because you're not a mother yet. All right. And so let's talk about that, because we have you on and you're not a mother yet. Let's talk about why you're here. What makes your story unique, and why are you on this encounter of motherhood?
Well, unique. I mean, I'm learning that what I'm going through, it's not necessarily unique. So I've suffered I can say instead of it's not just me, but we are going through IVF, so infertility, and it's more common than what people expect. So I wouldn't say it's unique. I just think people don't know about it unless you go through it. Because even as a nurse, I specialize in certain things. You learn about it, and then that's it. But coming to find out, there's a lot of women that suffer through infertility, and there's different reasons. And it's nice to be in a group of women so that you can hear different perspectives and know that you're not alone through this journey. You grow up, you're like, oh, I can't wait to be 18, I can't wait to be 21, have a family, and then you never know what's going to happen. You don't know if you can get pregnant. And I'll be honest, I've never had any scares or anything, so I never know if I could actually carry a child or do any of that. So I met my husband, and he confided in me and told me what's going on, and I said, well, this is our journey. Our journey is our journey, and we're going to go through it together. And this is our journey that we're on, and we're doing this IVF thing. And it's been a year and almost 2 years, And like I said, I pray on patience and just contentment in whatever is going to happen, whether it be I can actually carry a child. At the end of the day, I know I know I'm going to be a mother, and however that's going to be. I'm an auntie. I got nephews. So, I love kids, and however God is going to have me to be in this position, I'm ready for it. So, through the highs and the lows, I'm going through this journey. And I love my husband because he's been giving me so much support. And also because I know I can't do this alone, being more open with my family about it, because it's hard having to give myself shots. I was just telling him on the show, I said, babe, what time the show over? I got a shot. We got a shot you got to give me around 9 o'clock. So it's been a journey. And I say, when that child comes, that's the way I'm going to look at them like, how much money you don't cost us? So where I had to go for you to get here. But, I've learned a lot. I've cried a lot. I've laughed a lot. And, we're hopefully, getting close to, I can't say this finish line because this is just the beginning. This is just preparation for everything, honestly, to that point when that child will be here with us. But, hopefully we got some good news. Maybe one day we'll be on and, say hallelujah. We'll see. But it's been a journey. I've been learning a lot of procedures and surgeries. But I thank God for everything, honestly, each day, taking it one day at a time through this infertility, and just knowing that one thing you can't be is alone in it. You have to talk to people.
You just glide past that whole thing.
What I glide past? What?
Everything. You ain't telling none of the good thoughts. This has been a struggle. Okay, It has been a struggle. We done changed insurances and found out one insurance don't pay nothing, and then we come out of our pockets and stuff. We've been broke because of it. Even when my mom died, when Sandra died, and I went to work, we thought we were pregnant, and I went to work next day, even though my mom died, and then get the phone call that we lost it. Mm-hmm. That just killed me. That killed me. My mom, my grandmother, my father, and now my unborn, and that wrecked me. And what wrecked me even more when I went home, don't do it. Okay. When I when I went home, she had the nerve to say I'm sorry to me, like she did something wrong. It was just we're on what, cycle 4, and it is a roller coaster. It is ups, downs, peaks, valleys, turns, roundabouts. It is not for the faint of heart.
No, sometimes you're scared to even talk about it or to tell people. So I'm trying to learn to, like I say, take each day at a time, even the good moments. Just be happy. Like my dad told me, I don't want to know till you're 3 months pregnant. I said, but Dad, that's not up to you. It's up to when I want to tell people. And I said, at the end of the day, like even the doctors would tell me a positive pregnancy, it was still positive. That's still, you take those highs when you can get them and you hold on to them, because that's going to just keep pushing you. Because it's true. I had a panic attack, and I don't think I've ever had a panic attack my whole life. And I couldn't go back to work when they didn't see anything, and I just was devastated. I mean, inside of me, I felt like something wasn't right, but I just said, okay, let me just keep going. And then when I went and got the ultrasound, there was nothing there. That's when I just I lost it, But like you said, we took a break and we got back at it again. And it's tough. It is. It's a roller coaster. But I finally cried, but it was tears of joy. So it's tough. It's a lot, but I know the Lord put me here and put Tay here, and we're here together for a reason. And we're staying strong together with our family, with the well, prayer is amazing. It works. It does.
So Kay, I just want to talk, because you and Tay, and you all mentioned that, you talked about, Tayron, you just Pastor Tay, you just talked about, you all had been told that there was a child on the way, and then you lost that child, and a lot of times people don't want to acknowledge that. Even I want to pause right, because sometimes people don't even acknowledge that and saying, so in some ways you've been a mother, right? Because you did have child, and that's something we have to, that you all have to grieve. Do you think that people are open enough, even in talking about that experience? And if not, why do you think people don't talk about it as much?
I mean, it's emotional, and so some people aren't ready to be vulnerable. Honestly, it's about that being vulnerable. But I think of myself as very selfless, and at some point I say, well, if I can't be open and honest and talk about it, then other women won't hear this story, and to know that you're not alone. So I thought about that, and I said, I shouldn't be alone in my grieving process. Why can't I have my family around? And if they're not comfortable to listen, then I understand that. But I found telling people and being open, it allowed people to come and comfort me, because you need those times of comfort. You shouldn't have to cry alone. I know some people don't have anybody, and I'm praying for all those women out here who are going through it. It's a struggle, but I felt that it was easier for me to be more vulnerable and be open about it than to just because what people are going to do, I'm at work, they're going to always ask you, they're going to do that. And people are respectful, but I've learned, I feel better when I do talk about it honestly than just keeping it all bottled up inside, honestly.
Yeah. And I think, go ahead, Pastor Jay.
I mean, for me, I didn't know how to feel. I mean, if I'm mad, who am I mad at? Is it her? Is it me? If I'm sad, what am I sad for? No one, no one who's actually living is I didn't know how to feel, but you don't feel right. And then it's a thing of pride, like who I'm going to tell. Oh man, you shooting blanks? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, what do you do? And then at the time it happened, we were going through so many things, just as far as losing so many people. It was just like, it's more BS. Just put it on a pile, and it's just you just kind of you just be lifing. You just kind of get through it, and then before you know it, like, man, I'm depressed for some reason.
Wow.
And it's that you have to address it, but you don't know how. And it's like, you don't want to seem weak to her by crying and I need to put my head on your shoulder, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, she need me for the same thing. So now we both weak. So who do we
Yeah.
We both falling.
And there's strength in, and I'm gonna come to you guys, Pastor K and Lady T, for a quick transition. We're gonna come back to the Flemings. But I love that, because you all, thank you so much again, Kanitha, for sharing so far, Pastor Tay, for allowing us into this glimpse into your lives. And Pastor Tay, you hit on something. You say, how do you make it through as a partner? How do you make it through as a life partner, right? Because this is something you go through together. And so in my transition, Lady T, Pastor K, you all had a little bit of a different situation, but it very much was about coming together as partners. So talk to us a little bit about you all's journey as mothers, and what your journey looked like.
I'm gonna let her dive in all the way, but just to start.
Well, but before we start,
okay,
can I just say to the Flemings, you guys can add the Simpsons to your prayer list, because we're definitely, thank you for your courage and your boldness tonight, but you definitely have told the world how to come into agreement with you and how to pray.
Absolutely.
And so we appreciate that, and in return you can count us in for prayers. I just wanted to get that out there.
We're definitely praying for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, I'm gonna let her take this one by the horns, but one of those adjectives. This is my baby mama, and so I'm grateful. Yes, our story is different, but I've had situations where I was told, by the doctors that I could not conceive, and then went back and things were cleared. So I went through a scary season of doubts and fears, because I was always that girl that I can't wait to get married. I had a couple of engagements. The guys flaked on me, and life happened. Life was lifing, and it's all good. But I come from a big family. I have 8 siblings, so it's 9 of us all together. And my parents became everybody's parent. No matter if they met you today for 5 seconds, they were mom and dad when you walked away. So all I've ever known is family. So I've always prayed, to God that He would give me a family. No matter what it looks like. I never imagined myself marrying a woman. And so I never thought that would be the outcome for me. I'm glad, I'm grateful, I'm happy extremely to be married to my baby mama, since that's the topic for tonight. But when I prayed, I went to adoption classes, because we don't categorize in our family. All siblings are siblings, and that's it. But for conversation purposes, I have my 2 younger sisters are adopted, and then I have one who's right above me who came into our family by way of foster care. And so my parents teaching adoption by way of example inspired me. When I got scared that I may not be able to conceive, and then I did not, out of choice, want to have children out of wedlock, I said, listen, if marriage is not in the forecast anytime soon, I love children. I have a ton of nieces and nephews, but I want to have a child of my own. So I literally sat in classes to become a foster parent or an adoptive parent. And it's crazy, because I sat in the first official adoption class, and the Holy Spirit made me stand up in the middle of class and excuse myself. And it's because God told me, make this decision with the one that I'm going to send into your life. And you don't have to be a single mother. You don't have to be anxious for anything. The time will come. I wanted it when I wanted it. And that was motherhood. And so God just calls me to embrace my godchildren, my nieces and nephews, the kids that you can always send back home when you're done. Those, I love them dearly, but that was the plus side. I was like, oh God, you are right, that part. So I'm gonna do this that way. And again, it wasn't until about 2.5, 3 years ago that Lady T and I connected. Come to find out, she worked in the same library where I was taking the adoption classes. These are things I found out later. So she was probably there the day I took the class, and I didn't even know it. But, long story short, God does hold true to His promises. No matter what the outcome is, it may look different than what we think. But when He brought us together, He brought her and her package, and the most beautiful package. 5 beautiful children. I say 5. We have a bonus daughter because our son is married. And, we have 2 sons, which are twins. We have our daughters, our beautiful daughters. And then we have our 2 granddaughters. So I became a grandmother. They call me IG because when I married her, I instantly became a grandma.
Instagram.
So when I say that, she literally came with the entire package. And then the beautiful part is all of our children are grown, so we don't even have to raise them. I thank God for the second part of the story, which is really the first, how she raised our beautiful children and the outcome there. But I just thank God that I did come into a complete package, a full package. And as me coming in, it's like 6, 7, what, 8, however many.
We'll be counting.
You, the kids, and the granddolls.
You know what we count now.
8 of y'all versus
praying
Randy.
this strange prayer
Oh yeah, you can tell them
about me conceiving. And listen, no, ma'am. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but I just thank God because all of them in their one package, with just one of me coming into a family and us blending together, there was no controversy with our children. They all accepted me. I came into their lives as Pastor K, but they wouldn't let me go after that. They held me by my neck, said, "You can't leave us now." But I'm just thankful that, there was no conflict. Our sons gave their mother to me gladly and gracefully, because they said they could trust me. And so that was a big deal.
And I think that is important for me to interject something right here. Can you grab that picture?
Oh man,
I'm sorry. It's because
I was like, what you looking at?
Because for me, before you show that, for me, I have twin boys. They are 23 years old. I have a 26-year-old daughter and a 18-year-old daughter. The two girls are moms. Our granddolls are 6 months apart, so they didn't give me time to come up for air. But what I want to say, because it just hit me this way right now, is we all accepted another opportunity to love myself and my children, because for 7 years, when I was in my former marriage, I desired a connection that just wouldn't connect. I spent 7 years trying to fight for my kids, but be present for the man I vowed to be with for the rest of my life. And just that whole struggle to the point where it caused some discord between my daughter and I, my children and I'll say, for the least. And so when I thought about it just now, I'm like, I'm not the only one that fell in love here. And so I truly thank God, because my sons, I remember one of my sons at the age of 15, when I got married, he said, "Mom, you can stop fighting for us. We don't need a father. You've raised us. We know what to do and what not to do. You don't have to fight for him to be present for us." And so I knew how solid he was on that. I knew that it was nothing I could say or do to change that, because in his mind, we're good. So for me to get to this place, and it's not an unfamiliar place for me to marry a woman. I haven't been married to a woman, but I dated women when I was younger, but my children were, of course, younger. But for me to make a decision that I'm going to get married here, and this is where I'm choosing to be, and I know that God is going to love me here, and we're just going to live out this life of ministry together. For my sons to part their lips and call her mom.
I cried like a baby.
I was a mama bear. Over the years, being a single mother, my children took on me as I took on them. So it was like we were inseparable. Sometimes it wasn't the best thing, because nobody could say anything to my kids. I was very defensive, and all of the things that can destroy relationships. And so it was us, and it was me and them. And so getting to this place and introducing, not this place, but meeting Kristen and making the decision to get married and just go all the way in. I'm telling my children, hey, this is Mom's decision. And in exchange, they were like, congratulations, Mom, we're so happy for you. This is the happiest. They would tell her, this is the happiest we've ever seen our mom, and all of these things. So God just showed me we all loved again. That marriage could have stricken the desire for any additional parenting for my adult children, but they all have yielded themselves to Kristen as their mom. So one of Tanaya calls us mom and moms with an S. So or mommy, and that's mom with an S, or she has this little catchy thing that she says. But for our sons to land in that place and honor her and reverence her as a mom, I couldn't impose that on them. I couldn't make them do that.
Mhm.
This was a heart thing and a choice. And so I just wanted to see if y'all could see this photo, because behind us is our two sons. And I want you to look at their faces.
Mm.
They
Yes,
are the
elated.
happiest
Yes.
that they could be giving their mom away. I mean, it blew me away because again, I couldn't see behind me, so the picture was taken, and one of our sons said, "I look like a proud father." I said, it's kind of what it was given because they gave me away,
Yeah.
but it wasn't forced.
Mhm.
It wasn't. Had they told me, "Mom, we're happy for you, but we don't want to participate, or we don't want anything, to do with any of this," I would have respected their choice.
Mhm.
That's right.
But none of them swayed in a different direction.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my
Yeah.
deal breaker, because when she came to me and said, "Hey, I'm attracted to you," I'm like, "Wait a minute, what?" And then I had been counseling the family, and our son who got married, I was doing marriage counseling for he and his wife.
She married them.
And so the first question I had to ask, I'm like, "Wait, do your kids know? And what did they say?" Because that, for me, out of respect, no matter how great the attraction could be, I was really willing to walk away if it wasn't a mutual thing on all sides, if her children were not okay and at peace, because I knew she was just coming out of a marriage and everybody was fragile. And so if everybody was not okay, even though it would still be our decision, my heart just said, if it's not okay with everybody, then we'll just be friends, maybe the best of friends. She told me she don't know how to be my friend after that. But I'm thankful. We didn't even have to go deep into working that out, because truly it was all embraced.
And let me just say that. Let me just say, I was at you all's wedding, and so folks don't
you
even
were.
know that I was at you all's wedding, and so I thank you for allowing me to be. So those of you all who might not, who might remember, Pastor Jason has been on with us before, one of my best friends, and so they reached out to me and asked if I would be the musician. Let me tell y'all, the music in this family, okay? I know we talk about motherhood, but let me just talk about the music in this family is amazing. Y'all have an amazing son who is doing some amazing stuff, singing at a church in Virginia, and a church plant in Virginia. Terrell is totally just anointed. I cannot wait to see where his career goes. But also your daughter had an amazing voice. I mean, the music just runs, but the wedding itself, beautiful. Very, very, very simple and yet beautiful and elegant. And listen, I'm telling y'all, the love in the room, overwhelming, totally overwhelming. There's no way you were here and even thought twice about whether or not this family was accepted by the rest of the family. I mean, you felt it from the moment you walked in the door, even in rehearsal. It was like, yeah, these are moms. This is what y'all gonna say. These are moms. And I love that. So kudos for all of the energy that, and the acceptance. I do want to ask, you know, and I love that there's so much joy and there's still smiles in the midst of all of this. But I know that does not, this type of love, and I'm saying for both couples, does not often come easy. There are complications, right, that come with this. There are family heartaches. There's trauma. There's pain. And so can we just, and I hate to dwell there at all, but it's important to bring out all the aspects, I think, because there are so many people who I think can be enlightened when we talk, as Kenita said earlier, as we talk about. And so just want to take a moment and just talk about some of the complexities. Hey, if you're joining us, I want to give a shout out to, I saw you all had some family over, so Tierra and Jolinda and Willia and all of those folks who are on. Hey, welcome to the Well. We are talking tonight, Momma Fertility. We have some amazing stories. If you're just catching up, Kenithis and Tehran, Pastor Tay, talking about going through the IVF process of trying to conceive, even losing a child at one point, but still holding tough through that. We're talking to Pastor K and Lady T, who are talking about in today's world they call it an unconventional marriage, but just the beautiful thing of having families to love that, embrace that. So this was an amazing conversation. I mean, listen, already this has just blessed me, and I know it's probably blessing the folks that are on with us. Continue to like and share this if you're on with us. Kenitha, Pastor Tay. So you had talked about having these children who I think Pastor K said it earlier. These kids that you can kind of bring in, and you can give them back at the end of the day. And then on this journey, I heard you mention folks who have been pretty respectful, but let's talk about the folks. Some of the complexities. I can only imagine that for both of you all, Pastor Tay, Kenitha, there has to be some complexity, even in people continually asking or wanting to know, what does that feel like, and how might people think about that if they are supporting folks who are going through the same process?
You want?
Go ahead, baby. I started.
Honestly, it gets annoying for me, and because so like I'll give you a certain example. My mom, Terry, we found out she had stage 4 liver cancer, only had 3 months to live. And she wanted a grandbaby so bad. I mean, she every time onesie. She bought us a onesie for a child. I mean, we still got that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I kept it. Yes.
I mean, she really wants. I mean, that's all she wanted. When I'm gonna have my grandbaby? When y'all gonna make me my grandbaby? It's like, I don't know, Ma. She didn't know. I mean, we were trying, but nobody knew. And sadly, when she died, I mean, that really stung. That hurt me. It's like all my mom wanted was a grandbaby, and I couldn't give it to her before she died. Like that ripped me apart. And then everybody else started getting pregnant. My sister got pregnant. She's gonna have her child in a couple of months. I can't wait for that. My cousin, she just got pregnant. I can't wait for that. And it was just like, man, everybody said work is getting pregnant. I'm like, man, what? Why is this missing me? Everybody getting the flu but me.
It's always like that when you're trying and everyone else
and
it's
just I'm just like, I'm like, God, I know you funny, but I ain't laughing. You know what I mean? It was just. You hear IVF like, okay, we pay the money, you do this, that, boom, done, right? But it's so many levels to it. It's just disheartening, right? And then people ask certain questions, and it's just like, they mean well, but in your mind, just like, not your business. I don't ask what you look like when you get out the shower. Like, don't, like you don't, it comes from a good place, but you just don't want to hear it because. You try so hard to tune it out, to not think about it and just go along with life. But then there's a situation that happens or someone says, well, when you guys have this or, the littlest thing. And it's just like, yeah. And you got played off like nothing. Mm-hmm. It's family, it's homeboys, it's people at work, oh, you married? How many kids you got?
When y'all gonna start making babies on this, everyone thinks life is not easy, it's life.
Yeah.
There's ups and downs, things. I don't think nothing in life really come easy, honestly. Things you got to work at. I mean, but one thing I would say, our faith and prayers help us through. And, I try to learn to tune out the negatives when people come and just, sometimes I got to step away, say a prayer and, having people surrounding me, sending me. Because sometimes you might get lost and you may forget to go back to the basics and go back to your father, because it gets hard. Like he said, who do I blame? I got angry and I said, but you know what? Lord, it's not you. It's not your fault. You know what I mean? I'm not blaming you, but you get angry. You do. It's normal to be angry. And then people bring you back up and remind you, you know what I mean? They send you things and it just helps you just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Just keep moving forward.
And it was, for me, it was I guess not hard, but a weird thing because, before her, I was married before and then she had 3 children. They called me Daddy Tay for 4 years. I was a dad, and then just like that, even though I tried to stay in their life, I realized I couldn't. So, it was like just a mixed bag of emotions for me, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, did not and probably still don't know how to express those things. So it was just a whirlwind of uncertainty emotionally for me, you know what I mean? Loving her and staying, you know what I mean? But knowing there's these 3 girls and it's just like, and she was cool with it, you know, it was just, but I ain't gonna get into that, but it just couldn't work.
The other factor. But the children, no. I love kids.
It just couldn't work. So it was just, I don't know. It was a rough thing. It was a rough situation.
And I love that. I love that you all support each other so much, man. You know, I joke with Tayron a lot, but I know that, you know, Kenitha, I love that you are very open with Tayron, and Tayron's very open with you, and you guys talk even about his past marriage, and you know, and you don't like to see him hurting from even the ailments that he suffered there. But I think it's so dope that you all talk very openly about those things. Kenitha, what? For those who have friends going through this, what is the thing that how would you, what's your recommendation, right, to for folks to consider when they're close to folks who are going through the same process? What are the things you want people to sort of think about when they have these conversations with you, or, you know, how would you recommend they approach people in your shoes?
I always say be open-minded. You know, people don't come at you with ill will. You know, everyone comes in like, oh, when you guys starting? But instead of like always just pause and just, you know, think, you know, maybe not just say, oh, when you guys starting a family, or ask the people, how are you guys doing? You know, we're newlyweds, you know, or, you know, offer some advice. You've been married for what, 30 years or something, you know. I think people are just, like you say, they're in that motion, you know, like we just talked about Mother's Day, you know, this is a man holiday. What do, you know, we're supposed to think this way, you know, it's the way you're changing your mindset, you know. It's a new couple. A lot of marriages, unfortunately, don't make it through 1 year. You know what they say, they got 5 years. After that, you know what? Okay. But I think that people need to change their perspective when they come at people and ask questions about it. You know, I feel like there's not a lot of people say they support you, or they say, oh, when you're going to have kids, my thing is, are you going to help me? It takes a village. You know, it's like, you know, exactly. Sometimes it's just about being nosy. So I think that's the thing that I feel like people need to just change and just be open-minded, or just listen, you know, say, hey, how you and Tay doing? You know, how's married life? You know, you guys need anything? You know, what's going on? Instead of always kind of badgering, you know, people at it, you know, when it comes to people being married, or if they find out maybe, you know, maybe the parents slipped up and said something about it. You know, I feel like being open-minded and listening, it's really good, because sometimes all we need is just someone to just vent and talk to, honestly. Even if you don't understand it, you've never gone through it, sometimes it's just having that person to just vent to, because it can be a lot. So you're not holding it all inside, honestly.
Wow.
And tell me if I'm wrong, but as I'm listening to you, my thought too would be like, I know people probably all the time, maybe, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? But I would also think, right, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I would also think that maybe that's not always the appropriate question. But maybe like just giving people space to let you all say, right, whether or not, and just, I think to your question, how are you doing, probably is a good.
Or they'll say, you working on something?
Yeah, because some people may not want to have kids. There's a lot of couples who don't want to have children. So my thing is, it's not the question to always ask a couple. And if you know that person, you wouldn't ask that question, honestly. But people, like I said, they're not trying to be rude, but it's just what they're always used to. What's the first thing? Oh, when them kids coming? It's just
conversational pieces.
Yeah, but we can always ask a different question. And honestly, so I feel like we just got to change and just pause and think before we ask a question. You know, we're always just jumping to it instead of just pause and be like, you know what? How were we back then when we first started? You know what I mean? And just think about, you know, they might need some advice. Maybe they struggling. Who knows? You know what I mean? It could be 1 year of marriage and they may be going through some stuff, honestly. So how about, what can we do to offer y'all some advice? So y'all, you know?
Yeah. You know, I think that's good for all things in life. I'm Pastor K. I'm gonna cut to you guys, but But I think all walks of life, sometimes maybe we should probably stop and just give a little more thought before we should say certain things. I think that's just in general, but I just think about all sorts of things. People who are struggling to get through college. Instead of so when you graduate, maybe it's just, hey, how's school coming, or how are just people who are working on getting into a job and don't have a job yet. I can only imagine the pressure they're already in. I need a job. I need a career. And so you going, so when you get the job, what's going on with the job? Sometimes you just got to pause and let people, hey, I'm pretty sure if these folks get, a lot of times, they're going to share it with you. But in that process, give a little grace, give a little room, you know what I'm saying? And don't be so uptight about stuff, right? Pastor K, Lady T, I know you guys have gone through some complexities as well. I'm pretty sure on your side, probably some of the same things in a way, but just a little different maybe. But I'm sure there were a lot of folks that did not approve of how you all love each other. And so, yeah, I'm just curious, what are some of the things that you all have had to work through, some of the complexities of in this road to both the relationship and motherhood as well that you all have had to endure?
Well, you said something, Pastor Ray, in the beginning before we even got started. And one of the things that you said were, we're not here to change or encourage or alter anyone's mindset or beliefs. We spent about 8 to 9 months secluded. And what I mean by that is with God. This woman was a pastor before me. I was heavy in ministry, worship leader, evangelist, just operating in ministry. So seasoned women of God. And so in the beginning, it was me looking at her and she's looking at me, and we're like, okay, God, are you sure? Because again, I was getting a divorce. So I'm not one to get out of something only to jump into something else. But I believe that it was God's preservation for me, because I don't know what lies on the other side. And sometimes God will permit a thing to preserve us and keep us in right standing with him before we get out here and get lost out of some confusion of why me, some of the questions. And so when we got in this place, because we spent so much time with God, and it was some prophetic things happening in the background, that God had to reveal to us why he chose us to be married. And so it's not an attraction outside of Pastor K for me. It's not an attraction outside of Lady T for Pastor K. It's the two of us in love and holy matrimony. And so while we spent this time with God, he also gave us some time. She had never introduced a woman to her parents. Her father, especially our father, may he rest in peace. But he was a father that raised his children. God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. So he was strict about those things in the household. And so his first knowing of her landing in this place with a woman and being in with she and I was her bringing me there. So I'm looking at her. I'm outside like a kid. I'm ready to get a whooping. I'm like, damn.
First of all, it started by the introduction of my mom. I told my mom one day we went shopping. I was like, riding home in the car. We were 3 days into this big confession of, you like me, I like you too. And I said, Mom, I got to tell you something. Nervous behind the wheel. And so when I told my mother, she was like, okay, so when can I meet her? I'm like, what?
And I'm at the house. I know they having this conversation. I'm at the house biting somebody else's nails. And I'm in here awaiting their arrival, anticipating what the conversation was like.
Came to meet her.
It was a lot of anxiety. And so I'm like, should I get flowers? Should I not? She's like, no, you don't want to do that because my mom won't be impressed. I'm like, oh, what kind of woman is this? Who don't want flowers? And so that was being myself, but I didn't want to be over the top. So I just didn't know what to do. It was a lot of anxiety because God, he orchestrated our steps and have this conversation. My father is a retired Marine, but he's still a Marine. You can't call him retired. 31 honorable years in the Marine Corps. And so imagine what my approach was like. Mind you, we told you all that she married our son. So daddy was there. Oh, and he fell in love with Pastor K.
See, when it aligns, it just.
You see what I'm saying? He fell in love with her
before
y'all.
Yeah.
He fell in love with her so much. When he got back to Temecula, he said, I know you don't have a lot of friends, but why don't you link up with Pastor K? She seems pretty cool.
Why don't you?
She was the officiant, she was the DJ and the photographer. Of course, she had a team, but because it's all in one business, we just utilized all of her services. Okay, so fast forward, we get to her dad, and it's like, so mom encourages her after falling in love with me in seconds and saying, "Oh, I prayed you. I prayed you here." She had a dream that her daughter married a woman. So all of the things that we're in the background thinking, God was the forerunner. And so by the time we got to dad, now we sitting on 2 stools in the sunroof. It's hot. And he sit down and he glimpses over at us and it's quiet. You can hear a pin drop. And I'm like, this is
sweating bullets.
This is awkward.
I'm getting nervous again, like it's the same day.
Yeah. And so she's looking at me to talk, and I'm like, hey, yo, daddy. I'm just trying to figure out who's gonna have this conversation.
I wasn't ready to talk. I was cool with mom, especially after her response. But mom is like, take me home and bring her with you and let her meet your dad. Like, today? What?
Oh my God.
So
Brendan B said, I don't know if y'all saw that. Brendan B said, let the Lord use you, pops.
Right.
Right. So we sit down and of course he speaks first. He says, so how long have you two been knowing each other? And I'm like, phew, I don't even know if that was the question of the night, but it made me feel good.
He broke the ice.
So he broke the ice. And honestly, his response was mind-blowing. He said, the Holy Spirit told me that you guys were coming. And so I was ready. I am prepared. You both have my blessings. He said, but what I want you to know is to keep God first, because the people are going to talk and you have to be ready.
Yeah.
But see, God spent 8 months in the background. Our mom, who is now my bonus mom, she used to record us in the background from the prophetic things that was happening, supernatural things that were happening. She said, you guys aren't going to have time to come back for it. So when we would call her, she would say, hold on, let me get the recorder. And so she would start recording the stories, and 2,000 birds landing in our yard and surrounding our home. And God later revealed that those were the souls that he called to us. And so we're preparing for this journey. So it's not so much about Pastor K and Lady T. This is a journey. This is an assignment, and this is a ministry that God has called us to, but he's allowing us to love us, a love that neither one of us have ever experienced. However, there are folks that did not know what to do with this. I told you she was a pastor. Several left the church. I told you I have a great following. Several said to me, has God forsaken you? They didn't understand.
My dad said he thought God would stop using us.
My dad said he thought that God had taken his spirit from me when I made this decision, but God made a way for us to get to Temecula. It was a surprise for my birthday last year. And when I got out there to my father, I'm like, why am I here? He don't even like you. Like, what is this about? But not knowing they planned the trip. She and my dad. And so we get out there and he sit at the table across from us, maybe day 2, and tears started running down his eyes. And he said, I thought that the Lord left you, but I feel nothing but the spirit of the Lord exuding from you and you, Pastor K. And I regret missing the wedding. I regret not being present for you all. So This is not something that we're here to change the mind and the heart of people. But I promise you, what God has called us to, he is touching the hearts and the minds and the belief system that's out here, because it's about getting to the souls that's looking for a place of acceptance and of love. So we're willing to be the forerunners. Yeah. We were bold enough to do it. We were bold enough to say yes to you tonight, Pastor Ray, that we'll do it. We'll come, we'll say it. We will be the example.
Yeah. This is actually our first platform outside of
this is our first time outside of our own. So yes, many have not known how or what to say to us, and some of them have even found their way to congratulations after a year.
I just got a call today from somebody who was a really, really close friend of mine. I mean, we called each other twin because we were that close. And when we made the announcement about our marriage the day after we got married, while we were dating, courting, praying, and trying to figure this all out ourselves, God taught us about privacy versus secrecy. So ladies, tell the world when we got together, like, let's post up all of that. That's it, babe. You know, because we have such a following and we have people who trust the God in us, who trust us. And all my life, I had this belief that it was wrong. And again, we're not changing the word, but God gave us peace here, and he granted us access to this place, even if it's just for the lost souls, even if it's to prevent another suicide coming for somebody whose family did not accept them. You know, we're not caught up in the flamboyant approach to this. This is really love and God's love on display.
Yes.
God using us. And so when we announced it on social media, so many people calling, why didn't you tell me? Congratulations. And then honestly, for me, the outcome was better than I thought. I was prepared to lose way more.
Yes.
I mean, I had a great following. I still have it. I think I calculated maybe 5 to 10 Facebook friends that detached. Some came back. Just today, the closest friend I was saying, she called. It's been a year and some change that she disconnected while we were on our honeymoon. She was going off for me. The Bible says this and the Bible says that. And I was like, you know, I've been reading that same Bible with you, but I know God speaks beyond the Bible. And God has spoken. God even said to me when I kept asking him, God, are you sure? He said, listen, don't ask me that question again. I didn't know what God's purpose was. We didn't know. And we would sometimes tell people, we don't know. We don't have all the answers. But we prayed and God said, go. If we just have to be the forerunners for whatever, we're here. And so that friend made a random call today and said, I'm sorry. I love you. And love has no barriers. I miss my friend. And the crazy thing is that person was on my mind just about 2 or 3 days ago. But I said, listen, they cut me off. I don't want to be anxious or anything and trying to rekindle something that they want to be done. And so I respected the ending. But God, I keep thanking God, you know, it's not to say that our friendships and relationships will go back to the way they used to be when people come back. I don't know. It may just be God reaching his people and teaching people how to really love without barriers. And that's why we're here.
Yeah. We didn't come out in a premature phase of our relationship. We were married. So when we presented it to the world,
we were 24 hours in.
We were 24 hours into our marriage.
We spent our first day of our honeymoon, I think, ministering, you know, not trying to prove a point to anybody.
But we took that opportunity to go live and let them know what God has spoken and what he said and the grace that he's given us here, as well as the peace. But I had an issue with that whole secrecy versus privacy. She had to teach me about that because there's an 11-year age difference here. I'm the youngest. That's
why I'm the
That's a disclaimer. So here I am like, what? I'm 40-something years old. I'm going to tell the world. I found my love. And she like, whoa, ma'am.
Take it easy.
We can't run up out there like that. We're going to get bolted over. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? I'm not new to this. Like, this is not going to surprise nobody about me. So she said, I want to teach you how to be private and how to build in the background. And it doesn't mean that you're hiding something from somebody. We're not going to always be in this place. And so the reveal will happen in God's timing. And so that's why I believe that things went a lot smoother than we thought or was anticipating because of our obedience to
We
remain
definitely
private.
put God first. And like our father said, on day one, just put God first. And he told me, don't stop preaching, no matter what you do. Always preach the gospel. And sometimes we've had to preach ourselves through,
Yeah,
some of the
yeah.
persecution that
Now,
did
now
happen.
we have had our services hacked with pornography.
Yes.
So we know that there has been some hate things against us since she and I have been married. And so we know that it's out here and we know that it will happen, but there is no protection like the protection of God, our
Mhm.
Father. When He does it,
Yes.
he does it
Yes.
well. We hold Him accountable to
Mhm.
His promises for us, and He has kept us in the midst of it all. He's kept us. We've had to deal with some serious dark demonic things, and I'm telling you, the peace of God, the protection that He has over us is beyond me, the supernatural things. And so, yes, Pastor Ray, there has been some complex things that we have faced here, even challenges with our children. It hasn't been peaches and cream because they accepted her and us. They, we still had a teenager, we still had a young mother. And so there were a lot of challenges that we faced. And kudos to you, Pastor K, because she didn't leave me. We came from brokenness. We came from being wounded, church hurt, all types of pain that we didn't know we had residue of on us that poured out into this relationship. And so she stuck by us and she stuck with us. And so we're just grateful to God that even in the complexities that we have faced and encountered up to this point, we've yet, and the love has yet remained.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to talk about the problems. I'm sorry to cut you off, but God just revealed, like, it's our truth. Our purpose outweighs our problems. So we it's a lot of problems, but Romans 8:28, I'm gonna say 18 through 28 is one of my favorite scriptures, that these present sufferings are not worthy to be compared to the glory that will be revealed. And so I know that He's causing all things to work together. We gotta have some obstacles, some controversy. I mean, people who are in the conventional, as you would call it, marriages go through the same things, and that's what we're teaching it. And like the Flemings, I believe educating people is really going to be our answer against all of the obstacles that we face with people in their ignorance. And a lot of times you hear the word ignorant and you get offended, but ignorance is just a lack of knowledge in a certain area. And so you can have ignorance with the law. I didn't know the speed limits was this, but it's no excuse. And so to break the attempted excuses, we just have to educate people. Now that we're here, now that we know, because before the Flemings came into this place, I'm sure you didn't know either, and you may have at one point asked, when is somebody having a baby too, just out of, habit. And that's the way of life. And we may have looked down at somebody who was in the same gender loving relationship, but to God be the glory. We're all where we are now because God can trust us with our testimony, with our story, even while we're going through it. And so I'm just honored that God chose all of us. And again, thank you, Pastor Ray, for this platform, because you're doing a big thing and it's educating the people, because us as couples, we're still learning and growing as we go. But on the flip side, there are people who are coming behind us who need to have this knowledge. And so I'm just grateful for the opportunity to educate.
Yeah, I listen. I love this. When I tell you I love this, and first of all, I heard what you all said. So first of all, thank you. I don't know, people don't know, and actually, I was thinking I had the distinct pleasure of being in both of you all's wedding. I was Tehran's best man, and then I was a music for you all's wedding. Yeah, so
talking about the speech. Don't let him speak at your wedding. Don't let him speak at your wedding.
Put you on blast.
Did he just put me back? I'm surrounded by love so much, y'all, and I think I want to appreciate you all for. I heard you say, this is one of the first times that you've done another platform, and so we appreciate you when the moment is right. Because here, let me tell y'all, I have asked Pastor K and Lady T before, and I've never taken offensively that they couldn't do it. Right? They've even asked me for some things that I could not do. So there are just moments where things could not work, but I always feel like divine timing. I believe in divine timing. When the moment is right, it's going to happen. But I appreciate you all for praying and trusting this platform to be a platform that you all were willing to be a part of. I think if you just look at those comments, Jawan, thank you all for y'all. Thank y'all for your example. Brennan repeated the same thing. What he said, and so as you all know, our platform here, and I hate sometimes we gotta, because I realize I want to be mindful of people's time, but I want to just remind people, this platform, as it grows, and it is growing, is a platform that it's not about, as they said earlier, we're not trying to coerce people to believe anything. But what I love about it is, lately I've been a witness to the fact that our platform has allowed people to have conversations they have never had before in the open way that they in which they're able to have it. And so people call, people text, people having I've had conversations with people afterwards. I really, that gave me a light. I never looked at it that way. Or, oh my God, like, I don't know if I agree, but man, I got a different perspective, and I have to wrestle with that. I got to pray about that, right? Mm-hmm. Again, I if you never change your mind, that's fine, but be open, right, to having these type of conversations. And so I'm just grateful that you guys came through. And I think, honestly, Pastor K, Lady T, you guys answered so much without me having to ask. That's why I never really broke in, because you guys have talked about a lot of the questions that I think that we wanted to get into. I do want to ask one more question before we close. Before we do that, Pastor Tay and Kanitha, just real quick, how is your faith both allowed you all to get through and allowing you to still, because the journey you guys are on is a tough one, right? And so it relies on your faith, and I'm sure there are nights you go, God, like, am I even, both of you, all of you all have had. So how do you find, how is faith, is faith something that sustains you, and how?
I think it definitely tested us. You would think I'm the quote unquote pastor. I should be feeding into her, but honestly, she's been feeding into me. It's been times like, I ain't going to church. I ain't doing nothing. It's like, babe, can we just pray? Me and we can pray together. Like, all right, dear God, do it like you mean it. So she's kind of kept me on my toes as far as that's concerned. Honestly, she's been just my whole life. She's truly been a blessing. And actually, we have a lot more in common to y'all than you think. Wow. Literally, our second date is when my divorce papers came in. Wow. Like, literally, I got served the papers our second date.
Wow.
So I always joke, say you was just something to do. Mm-hmm. And like, we met on Tinder. It was just I was and then she just came, and that's
amazing.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, I would be telling a fib if I said I poured into her. This is how I see it. She poured everything into me. I mean, I might know a little bit more about the Bible, but she can feel the Bible a little bit more than me. I will say that is her gift. If you down, she'll pick me up. So I will say, even when I didn't know how to deal with the situation, she dealt with it for me. And I don't think I'd be where I am right now with everything. I mean, I was taking, what do you call them things for moods? Xanax. Man, I was all over the place, man. I was punching walls, and I was just
that must be a pastor's thing.
No, man, I was everywhere, man, and she stuck by me and prayed over me and calmed me down, and I wouldn't be anywhere without this woman. I mean, when they say behind a strong man is a strong woman, that's who she was talking about. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Listen, this has been a very enriching conversation tonight. As we close, my last question for each one of you all, and I always like to say this is, as we close, very briefly, very, very, very briefly, if there's anything that you can drop for folks who are struggling in these areas, and I love what you all said, because we know that young LGBTQ people, especially people of color, are some of the leading folks in terms of suicide. And so I love when you all talk about that, right? If we could prevent someone from killing themselves, who are struggling with their identity, God, man, thank you for saying that. But if there's one piece of encouraging advice, right, that the Lord has dropped in your spirit to say, hey, this is a word for you, for those who are going through your same situations, especially, what would that word be?
I'm gonna keep mine short in case you have something you want to say. I'm gonna say talk. Open up your mouth and say, have conversations. I had a conversation with someone today who's struggling at 40 something years old, struggling still with their mother accepting their choice of partnership in marriage. And I could hear the relief after our conversation today that she had. And so we've talked to so many other people who, other pastors who were like, how did you get so bold? They are quote unquote in the closet and struggling, but trying to do things to please people. I would just say have conversations with people who get it, who are, for me, that was kind of a help into us coming here. I reached out to another pastor who was openly married to a woman. Actually, she's the apostle who married us. And that's how I found somebody to kind of get some insight from and some support from. Support is healthy. Talking, I don't just mean going to counseling. That's great. That's healthy. But I would just say open up your mouth and talk and engage with people who can be supportive. We can calculate how many people are against us. We can lose calculation on that. But there are people out here in the world who still genuinely love, who still genuinely care. And so I would say utilize those resources and just talk and get you somebody who will encourage you, an accountability partner. When you're wrong, they're going to tell you. When you're right, they're going to help you through your rightness and your wrongness. That's very liberating. And so that would be my piece of encouragement, to just connect and communicate.
Yeah.
I want to jump in, and hopefully I create 1 billion supporters right here with this statement. She spoke to the ones that may be coming from a place of us. I'm going to speak to the ones on the other side that have not mastered or learned how to support those that need to talk or have been silenced by you and you. Just love. Yeah. We don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in, but what we have been mandated to do by our Heavenly Father is above them all. That means above the liar, above the luster, above the murderer, above them all. Love. And if we would just love and allow God to be God, if there is something that needs changed, if there is something that needs adjusted, if there is something that needs to be revealed, God will do it. But if we can just love, that will build 1 billion supporters right here today. Just love. It's not your job. It's not your job. Tear down the stigma. Tear down your narratives. It's not same sex. It's not nasty. It's same gender loving couples that love just like a man and a woman. Come on, somebody. Tear down the stigma and just love.
Love that.
My encouragement.
Love that. Pastor Tay, Kenitha.
Well, you said it. That's that word right there. We need more love and caring in this world. You know, people just need to be open-minded, but it's that word right there is love. That's exactly what I was thinking about. It's just we have to love one another. And like you said, it doesn't matter who you love. Love has no color. It doesn't have any personal. Just love. Exactly. That is exactly. Some people just need a hug. Sometimes I go into work and I be like, come here, come on. I don't know what you're going through.
Who you be hugging at work?
I don't know.
No, we're gonna have a conversation with you.
It's just, but that is
just
that
love
is,
my tail.
That is the truth.
It's true. All right.
I'm right there with you. Subscribe, support.
Yeah, all right.
Yes, amen.
Who you supporting?
Oh my God.
Huh? That's my word. You talking about you loving somebody?
No, Pastor.
God's children. God's children.
It's the first lady.
I'm focused. I'm focused on who you hugging.
You know what?
Listen, you didn't give me an answer yet.
Okay, just a Lady K, Pastor K, and Lady T. This is how they are. This is how they are, y'all. This is how they are. So don't pay no attention. This is how Tayron is. Okay?
People at work, you don't know what they got.
Brittany said bad toxic.
You hugging people.
But you know something about those hugs, Lady Flemings. I'm gonna tell you. I said to her, it's older women, right? They could be old enough to be my grandmother. I have learned to just embrace them. And I had an elderly lady tell me, she's never met me, right? But she said, you have the what she say, the soul of
a warming smile and the soul of a grandmother,
a mother or
a mother
somebody.
bear or something like that.
And I'm saying this lady old enough to be my grandma looking at me for a mother's love.
Oh,
And so, but yeah, it's so needed. You just don't know. It's no age.
yeah.
We can just tear down all of what we think or what we think we know or what we believe. Man, people just want to be loved.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You hear that, Pastor Flemings?
Mm-hmm.
Baby.
What love you talking about?
Agape. There you go. I'm about to say agape.
Agape. Yes.
Listen, it has been such a joy to have you all on tonight. It has been amazing. Listen, you guys, listen, stay tuned. All of our Williams, Pastor K Lady T, you're also invited to this June the 17th. Pastor Tay is our director of community engagement. We are looking forward to hosting a in-person well encounter. It's gonna be mad fun. From 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. The flyer of that should be coming out soon with the location and time. So again, that's June the 17th. We're gonna have a blast. That's Juneteenth weekend. We know that it is also Pride Month. We also know that that's the day, I think, before Father's Day. And so it's going to be a blast. We're going to have good food, good fun, good time. So you guys put it on your calendar. For those of you all who have joined in with us, listen, if tonight touched you, if there's something that moved you and you're like, yo, I don't know much about this God thing, but something about just how cool, how open they are, how willing they are to talk about things. I might not want to know the God of all them other places, but I'm willing to know a God that can talk about all this stuff. Hey, tap in with us, DM us. You can follow us on our social media. Reach out to us at any time. Even if you go back and you're watching this on the rerun, tag one of us. Just say, hey, I want to talk. We'll reach out to you. You can DM us, follow us on our social media. Everything that we're on, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, it's all Encounter the Well. That's it. Encounter the Well. Our website, everything is Encounter the Well. If you put that in, we're going to come up somewhere. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, website, all of it. Just engage with us. We want to know who you are. We want to encourage you. We want you to encourage us. Sometimes we need encouragement. You might be sent to encourage us, okay? And of course, we are looking for people that are willing to invest in what we're doing. We're about to get out into the community, y'all. I'm so excited about the summertime. We're partnering up with some folks. We're going to do some justice work, some equity work. It takes money to get that done. We're not a church that's unwilling to let you know where our finances go. But we are a ministry that wants to make sure we're investing in what we can do. So if you want to give, you can text the number 84321 with any dollar amount, or you can text the word give to 84321 and then follow if it's a penny, if it's 5 cents, if it's $100, if it's $1,000, whatever God says, yo, you got to give, you got to invest. Want to walk along with them, do that, please. Or you can go to our website, encounterthewell.org/give. Yeah, I think this has been an amazing conversation. I think we are going to, I think folks are going to rewatch this and they're going to be liberated. They're going to feel loved. And I'm so grateful. Pastor K, Lady T, thank y'all so much. This was the right time.
Awesome.
Yes.
Y'all,
You guys.
Pastor Tay is always with us. Kanitha, thank you so much for being on. We are praying for you all. We're praying for all of you all. Brennan B, thanks for holding it down behind the scenes, my brother. And Jawan, I saw you on, man. Good to see our Williams. My mama was on, and all those other folks for being on with us. Listen, Pastor K, Lady T, stay on for just a few minutes after we close. We'll meet you in the green room. Listen, until next week, y'all. Next week, y'all, we talking about mingling Christians. What does it mean to be mingling Christians? To be out there dating? Listen, to be out there dating and still be a person of faith. Oh my God! And the people we got coming on are some amazing people, y'all. It's gonna be a dope conversation. So tune in. Until then, we love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Peace.
Love you guys.
Take care.
God bless y'all.
God bless you.
Good night.